Success in farming is all about precision and efficiency, ensuring every seed, every drop of water, every nutrient and treatment counts. Terraplex Ag is helping farmers all over Iowa and the Midwest do just that. With precision ag drone technology and support from Terraplex, you'll boost your productivity and make timely and informed decisions, all while reducing your costs and increasing your profit. It's time to revolutionize your farming. Harvest the benefits with Terraplex Ag. Visit TerraplexAg.com.
My name is Joseph Hurst. I live in Ankeny, Iowa, and I'm a part of the PMBA program. I currently work as the Director of Sales at Stony Creek Hotels in Johnston, Iowa, and I chose the Iowa State MBA program because it just made perfect sense. About 2 years ago, I started this wonderful program, and I couldn't imagine not having done it. What has helped the most balance work, life, school, has been the people I'm in class with. It's great to go through questions, problems, study for tests, and it just makes the whole class so much easier. As a working professional thinking about doing an MBA program, I get night classes aren't everybody's dream. I get after a long day of work, you may not want to go do more, but it's worth it. You're gonna learn a lot, not just from the professors in the program, but from the other students. They come from all walks of life. They are from different age groups. They're from different companies. They're from all kinds of different backgrounds. They've got all kinds of different stories. And after 2 years, I've made some of the best friends I've ever made, learned the most I've ever learned, and I can't imagine what we're gonna do after we're done.
I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans. And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field. Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Chris Williams, Brent Blum, from the Wild Rose Casino Studio. It's Williams and Blum, presented by Mechdyne, on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network.
What is up? Welcome to Williams and Blum Wednesday here on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network. A little in-studio show. We haven't done these. It's just such a busy time of year. It's hard to get everybody in the same room. We've done that today. Real quick, I choked up. I chugged this Red Bull, and you know how the carbonation will just come back at you every once in a while. Clarifying, we did not mail it in last night. We had a charity event with Mechdyne that we had promoted for weeks on this show. I wasn't totally disappointed that I didn't have to do the post-game show. But I told everybody on Twitter, I've done a hell of a lot worse post-game shows than that over the years. It may not have seemed like it at the time, but I promise you I have.
There's been worse.
There have been worse. It's always been worse.
Look at us.
Yes, that's us and our the presenting sponsor of this program. Chris Clover is the reason this show exists.
Literally.
It was his idea when COVID hit, and Mechdyne, his company, is a very generous company. They did a fantastic event last night in Marshalltown that Brent and I were very happy to be a small part of, that raises money for Science Bound, Marshalltown Science Bound. And man, that was a cool. Matt Campbell was there, Rocco was there, Abu Sama was there, Ben Bramer was there. And I thought the best part of the whole thing was the kids that are a part of the program stood up and spoke about what it has done for their lives. Yeah. That was one of my favorite events that we've done.
I agree. It was awesome. Unfortunately, the game happened after. Well, we're going to talk about
I don't know if you're. I actually put my phone away because people were being so rude to me on Twitter. Like, they thought that I was just. I had tweeted earlier in the day that I was going to be at this thing, and like all these people were, "Where are you at, you loser? Where are you making your excuses?" And it's like, guys, like, I'm sorry, I haven't even seen the game yet.
We're just trying to raise money for kids in Marshalltown to get science scholarships.
It's all good. I love the
all good,
passion.
Doug.
Y'all
the
can
fans.
cuss
It
at
was-
me all you want. It's not going to
listen,
bother me. I promise. Keep them coming. We love the passion.
internally
We
in
love
my
it.
head, that sucked.
Oh, it was brutal.
It was a bad game.
Just brutal. Just
Bad.
brutal. I did have a couple of funny because I tweeted out afterwards. I'm like, hey, I
didn't
need to watch
it.
the
I know
game.
I saw that.
I need to watch it before I can commentate on it. And most of the responses were really fun. They were like, hey, you're going to need a bunch of Cody Road for that one, Williams. We got it right here, baby.
Did you watch it or did you?
I watched it back. And, when you're at those deals, because it was on at the event we were at,
Yeah.
but you're talking again, like the football staff was a bunch of them were there. We're mingling. I was talking to your dad, my buddy Coop. Like there were all these people, all the Mechdyne employees. So it's like you're watching it out of the corner of your eye. I did go home, and man, the thing that stood out to me the most, and listen, I think that Rob Gray quoted him in his story after the game.
Yep.
What TJ said, I thought that John and Eric listen to the head coach here. He didn't hold back about all the problems.
He called it unacceptable.
Yeah, he was speaking for all of us. But God, I thought they just looked so damn tired. Across the board. And again, I listened to the majority of the second half. I didn't get to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And John and Eric kept commenting on how all the shots from the free throws to the 3-point line were short. And God, the first, what surprised me? Because I had a pretty good idea. Premium subscribers did too. Little hint. I had a pretty good idea on like Tuesday, or it was like Monday.
Monday afternoon, yeah.
That we get to see Kurt, but probably not Keyshawn.
Yep.
And there was part of me that was like, I'm actually interested to see this because
Same.
the ball movement was really good against Houston. Now, they didn't necessarily have the talent to put the ball in the hoop a ton, but the ball movement, I thought, and Jay Bill commented on that. So that was not just like a takeaway that I had.
Yep.
I was just interested to see, man, can you improve on that? But God, the turnovers were horrible. Like I thought they were passive. I thought that they were not lazy. I will not call this team lazy. This team works really hard. I thought they looked really damn tired and careless with the basketball, which has kind of been this team's problem down the stretch.
Yeah, you nailed it. It was the question is why are they tired?
Mhm.
I mean, there's the
What do you
obvious.
do about it?
What
How
do
do
you
you-
do about
yeah.
it? How do you fix it? So we'll get to that. I think, and we addressed it on Sunday, and you didn't realize that you were going to be a soothsayer here, but you referenced what is in the market, the dead cat bounce of everything. Everything rallies.
I was
going
to
to
lead with that, but
No,
I didn't
it's
want to
true.
be arrogant.
No,
but
no,
that's what happened.
It's okay, us against the world. We can do this. We're in Houston.
Yeah.
Get everything going, and then you got on that little run. It was fun. Like, all right, look at us.
Yeah.
The juices were flowing. You lose the game, but you felt good about it.
Yeah.
It still is a pretty short turnaround, and you're playing what looked to be an awful Oklahoma State team in a dead building, in a game that honestly I think Iowa State got a little big for its britches. Thought we could just walk in there and give a C effort on our way to a win. And so why do I say that? Well, C-Dub, right off the bat, look at Iowa State's first 10 possessions. Okay? First 10 possessions. So normally Iowa State is tough-minded, physical, we're to bring the fight to you. Iowa State starts out with turnover, missed three-pointer, turnover, missed three-pointer. Iowa State did not shoot a 2 until the 13-minute mark of the first half.
That's crazy, especially for a team that just doesn't shoot that many threes.
So
One stat that blew my mind was the Lipsy. His first 8 shots were threes. That is bad offense.
So what does that mean to me?
Yeah.
That means you were not aggressive at all. You were very on your back feet, whether that's we can just walk here and be okay, whether you're tired. But also, the legit other huge part is Iowa State's best downhill attacking player wasn't playing. And that's Gilbert.
TJ really hammered this after the game. Josh Jefferson's got to be more assertive early. And
Exactly.
TJ put it on himself. He's like, I have to get in his ear about taking over early and not waiting 15 minutes to decide to do this.
And that was my watching it back this morning. It's like they need it. If Iowa State would have got him the ball early, and he wasn't, he turned it over way too much. By the way, like
yeah, he had 4 in the first half.
Like you
I
can't.
don't know what he ended up with.
Like at some point, if you force it in there and keep turning it over, that's not going to be great either. But Iowa State's advantage last night was in Joshua Jefferson, and they, in my opinion, they did a poor job of whether it was him or settling for other shots. They did a poor job of getting him involved. And by the time they finally did, which was the second half, which is the way they should have been doing all along, you're down 14 and you're up against it.
You know what the worst part of this loss was? Oklahoma State had 4 technicals.
Oh, they tried. That's
Like,
oh,
and you
I know.
still, and you still
and
lost.
they beat you.
And
soundly.
it didn't feel like, oh, that's one we let get away.
No, that was a. So we talked about it a couple months ago. Like, how is Iowa State going to not get a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament? Like the wheels have to come off. Well, a wheel came off against K-State.
Mm-hmm.
That was another wheel.
Oh,
That was gonna be-
I think right
that might
now,
be that might have been 2 wheels last night.
I mean, I'd be really thrilled with a 3 seed right now.
Well, you're on the fringe of, and that was just it's a bad loss. And the problem, Iowa State offensively is 0.93 points per possession, and there was an Oklahoma State defense over the past month that has just been giving layup after layup. And Iowa State, this is the problem in my mind. Iowa State knew Oklahoma State does not defend very well. You should be attacking them, getting to the basket, going downhill. And Iowa State didn't shoot a 2 until the 13-minute mark. You let Oklahoma State get comfortable. You didn't take the fight to them, and then you got beat. And this Iowa State team is it's very good. It is very good. It is not talented enough to just show up and win a game against a Power 4 team. And I think they learned that the hard way last night.
So
With or without Gilbert.
we can dissect all of it more. I think if you listen to or watch this show, you're a pretty educated fan.
Yes.
Like I can't imagine there's many people tuning in today who haven't seen the game. So we don't need to, like, I think most people are looking forward now and like what needs to
How do you
happen.
fix it? Yep.
Yeah. How do you fix it?
And it is, in my opinion, fixable.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
like the ceiling is still incredibly high here, but I actually thought my 2 guys co-host Chris Hassel made a good point. Like the concern I have, and this is what's unfortunate, is that the team really hasn't had a chance to play together much at all.
Fair point.
It
And you're running out of days.
2 things can be true. Like Iowa State is still 17-1 when all their guys play.
That's a fact. Yep.
Like that is true.
Yep.
The other thing that can be true is that let's say maybe hopefully you get Keyshawn back on Saturday.
I would say it's
lean that way.
I would say it's optimistic in a good way.
Man,
Like,
you
I think he
got
will
3
play.
games in Kansas City to get to that point where now that can happen, right? Like it absolutely can, but it's also I don't know if it will. It could not too, because this team, even when healthy against some of these poor teams, prone to turning the basketball over way too much.
And Gilbert was turning it over himself. So it's
Correct.
like he's going to be the one that's going to clean it up. And
Yeah, well, and that's why I was a little bit interested last night, and not indicating that this team is better without Keyshawn. I would never say that, but I was like, how is that going to look? Like, because I think like if you would have had Curtis against Houston, you probably would have won the game. Like, it's very possible you could.
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to that kid real quick.
Yeah.
He is walking pneumonia.
Yeah.
Like that's not
just
the little bug here or there. He played through walking pneumonia. Now, and he said himself, he felt better, but he's not 100%. He looked a step slow.
Looked like the whole team.
He looked like that. The question is, does everybody else have sickness? I don't
know. They're
think
not.
So. I don't think so, but it looked like it. I mean, they looked slow. And whether that was a mental thing, a physical thing, a combo. It's a long season. They haven't had a bye week. I understand it.
It's my sports betting background from like just I've talked to odds makers enough when I've done these shows and stuff over the years. That dead cat bounce is a real thing. You when the coach gets fired, when the key player goes out, you always bet on that team.
Just for one game.
And then get the hell out.
Mentally
this is what and this is more of an NFL thing, but I think it just rings true with all sports.
It does.
Like in the NFL, if the coach gets fired in week 6, you bet on him in week 7. Period. And you had this feeling, even when they were down 15 in the second half against Houston, there was this feeling like, God, it's just inspired. Like they're
Playing hard.
They're playing their asses off. It never felt like that last night. Like in the arena, I told you, there are going to be 5,000 people there. It's going to be really hard to get yourself up for that. Yep. Oh, my God. Listening to John and Eric on the way home, and you can hear the stat people beside them talking.
What a crazy fall.
It was so dead in that arena. And Iowa State did, and I guarantee the head coach was upset about this because he's all about create your own energy, right? It's why the CEO is there. It's why Cade Kelderman is such a popular guy on the team, right? And they didn't do that last night.
They didn't.
The energy was dead.
And that's where it comes back. The first 7 minutes, they didn't take a 2. They literally let Oklahoma State take the fight, which should never happen after what Oklahoma State's been doing lately. And, I'm glad TJ said it was unacceptable because that's not going to work. Two things are true here. That will not work. You do that, you will lose your opening round game. I don't care if it's against Samford or whoever, right? As a 15 or a 14 seed. You play like that, you will lose. But, C-Dub, okay, optimist hat. I'm an optimist. The odds to make the Final Four haven't moved, even after that.
Really?
Yeah, it's still the sixth best odds to make the Final Four.
Well, because it's probably you just stayed on the 2-3 line, which really is the same thing.
And people are smart. Missing Keyshawn and Curtis the last 2 games has a direct impact on the offensive metrics, and I think people are factoring that in. When Iowa State win healthy has been very good. I just think Iowa State got lulled into a game that they thought they could just kind of be there and give credit to Oklahoma State. Big guy was great. Now he's kind of loose cannon, getting technical fouls and the like, but big fella gets in 27 minutes, scores 25 points. That's going to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
And he outplayed, honestly. Usame outplayed everybody in the game. Osmani, whatever, how you ever say his name. Osmani. Yeah. He was great. And if you would have told me before the game that Osmani was going to work Iowa State's post, I would have said, I don't believe that. And he took it to him.
And Jackson and Chat, man, that position has been in bad foul trouble. It feels like every game for a while. Iowa State was certainly not at an advantage when Watson was out there in that 5 spot, which we saw multiple times. And you had to do it. I'm not, who
else you can put in?
You have to put him in. We also think that in some matchups it's better to have DeMarion there, at the 5 spot. It's not anything against him, but it hurt him last night. I felt like Jackson. Man, if you could just bottle up and get good Jackson all the time, it changes everything. But his consistency is lack.
For sure. And then he turns it over on the first possession, and it kind of dictated the game. It's like I turn it over 18 times against those guys, a team that does not turn people over.
It's a problem.
It's just not good.
And I don't know other than here's the deal, though. They're going to be favored against Arizona. And go this way. Mm-hmm. If they win 2 of 3, so that's Kansas State's going to be on the bubble, quad 1 or quad 2. It's going to be right there on the bubble. Right now, I think it's quad 2.
And I'm not as concerned about quads at that point. Just win the game.
If you win 2 of 3,
let's
say you take care of business at home, which would be ideal because that's the 2 better teams.
Yep. Yes.
What are we looking at? A 2 or a 3 seed?
Yeah. I mean that probably a 3. If it's 2 or 3, it's a 3.
Wouldn't everybody take that at this point?
As a 3 seed? Yes.
What's the worst case scenario?
Worst case, if you go 1 and 2, you're a 4.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what I'm concerned with. I don't want that 4 or 5 game. I don't want that. I don't want anything to do with that.
But I understand the fan sentiment. Like, you guys, a month ago, I was 2nd in the country, and now we're talking about a 3 or a 4. I get it.
Yeah,
I understand. And the other thing that I saw, and I think it's worth discussing, is there have been times in the TJ era where this is now a couple of years where you, in the end of February, you have a little bit of a lull where it just feels like the batteries need recharged or something. even last year, Iowa State won a lot of those games, but remember, they fought it out with BYU late, a game that really had to come back on, struggled with UCF, needed a 10-0 run to put them away last year. The good news is that team got hot in the Big 12 tournament.
And this is a team
and it carried over.
Yeah.
And it just this absolutely can. So
here's what concerns me. What concerns me about this particular team is, it doesn't have this elite defense to fall back on. They're just good.
Definitely a step down from last year.
Conference only, I guess they're still third best in the league. So they're not bad.
Yep.
This team feels like, I'll put it this way, and this is kind of overused in sports. What is this team's identity? Like, what do you fall back on? It used to be, and they weren't as good on offense, so this doesn't necessarily work, and they played fewer possessions. But they took care of the ball, right? Like, even like the Brockington team, it's like, oh, they're shooting all the twos. Like, this team's not really analytically based. They take good shots. They're just disciplined. And they always have this like elite defense to fall back on that can keep them in any game. This team's ceiling is definitely higher, but it's starting to feel like, God, that 3-14 game.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
Because I don't know. They may go out and turn it over 15 times.
I get it. Yep.
And then and it makes your defensive stats worse because you're giving up all these live ball turnovers. Right? Like that's where I'm just a little bit nervous. But I don't know if I believe that they're going to fix this turnover thing. Because how long have we been doing this now?
Well, since the West Virginia game.
Yeah, like really, you kind of are who you are.
And is it the Taman?
I don't have the answer.
Yeah,
but then they'll have one game, and you're like, oh, maybe it's fixed.
The good news here, so to your point, I agree. I thought Iowa State got lulled again, and this has now happened a couple of games where Iowa State thought its offense could just take over and win the game, and it let its defense go in the first half, and then you can't make up for it soon enough. Whereas in years past, Iowa State knew the desperation was from the jump because if we don't do this, we don't have the offense to figure it out. So a good offense, a better offense, in my opinion, has impacted Iowa State's defense at times this year because they can just think, oh, we'll get even. I think everybody had that same attitude.
It's the old Mike Leach football conversation.
You cut a 4-point lead with 10 minutes left, and you're like, all right, we're finally all right. I mean, figured it out.
I thought they were going to win,
and then you turn it over a couple more times, and it goes
nope.
So there is this false sense, I think, with this group that they can not play as hard defensively, and then that's where they get bit. Again, optimist hat. You've now, you could for the K-State game, you said, oh, we didn't have Milan and they shot it great. Kansas game, oh, we didn't have Milan and ball didn't go in. The Arizona game is what it was. Houston, we didn't have Curtis and Keyshawn but you look at Oklahoma State game, you say, yes, we didn't have Keyshawn. However, you play like that, I don't care if you had Keyshawn, you're going to lose the game. And that, of all the wake-up calls, that was the biggest wake-up call this year. And because you don't have any time. Like, it's 3 games, you get it going. And I do believe this group can turn it around. We know they have the offensive firepower if the defense is there. It's now on them to turn it back up. And then the other part I want to just explore here with everybody, Iowa State has not had a bye week since Christmas.
Do other teams, or is that just
now? Not Big 12 is all kind of the same.
Yeah,
but other conferences like
yeah.
So there's they get a couple days off here, which is different than they've had, and then that nice little rest potentially before the Big 12. But now
you're gonna have to play on Wednesday.
But you might have to play Wednesday now.
This is my number one thing. All I cared about was not having to play that stupid Wednesday game.
And what are the standings right now? I mean, I think Iowa State.
I don't know. I haven't looked at anything. I've been avoiding it.
Well, here we go.
Thanks, Aiden.
So Iowa State.
This is the bracket.
This is the bracket. The 4-5 game would be Wednesday.
Appreciate it.
At 11:30. Wednesday at 11:30, and then I don't think Iowa State's going to fall beyond the 4-5.
Wait, a 4-5.
Or excuse me, the 4.
The top 4 get double bye.
Whatever. I meant the 5.
It's
12.
like 5-12. So you're going to play a shitty team in that game, right?
Yeah. It'd be shitty. It'd be 11:30.
You know, Iowa State just played a shitty team and they got their asses kicked. So maybe I should keep my mouth shut.
You win 2 or 3, though. I still think you end up in the top 4 because everybody else is losing too. Because right now Iowa State is a half a game ahead of BYU for 4th. Kansas is
you
going
have a tiebreaker on Tech.
You got a tiebreaker on Tech. Good point.
Got to beat BYU. If they beat BYU, they're in really good shape.
Yeah, because you only play them once. So you got the tiebreaker.
You're in really good shape, even if you would go 1-2.
If you beat BYU.
You have to beat BYU though. That's the game in other things are going to have to happen, obviously.
Yeah.
If you win 2 of 3 and BYU is one of them, you're almost
correct.
Okay. I don't want anything to do with that Wednesday game
for multiple reasons.
Yes. And you could lose it. It could really only hurt you. It doesn't help you at all if you win that game.
Plus, it's a shorter turnaround, and you're trying to rest up for the. Yeah, just play Thursday.
The Keyshawn thing, it sounds like, again, they're not giving specifics. It's not structural. It's not like, oh, it's going to get worse if you play on it. It's like a rest thing. Well, the last thing you need is all the 4 days of back-to-backs like that. And then you got to travel for the tournament, and you got all the media for the tournament and all that crap coming up later on. And that's the thing about this, and it's a great problem to have. But when you go down to Kansas City, hell yeah, Iowa State can rattle off 4 in a row. We've seen it so many times.
Absolutely. But you also have proven, you run the risk then of, getting tired, an injury if you have to play that extra game. So I think the mindset has now shifted from 1 and 2 seed is going to be hard. I think 2 seed still is on the table, by the way, for the NCAA tournament if you win them all.
Florida lost last night.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's losing, but just look, people
there
are
losing. Teams losing everywhere.
Everybody's
it's
losing.
Crazy.
But I think that the goal now shifts to get that double bye, and I just think it sets up so much more for March if you can get that extra day, regardless. So
we are presented as always by our friends at Mechdyne. What a great group Clover's got there. Bunch of great guys work for that company. It was fun to hang out with them all last night. Want to thank our friends at Gravitate Co-working, of course, for supporting the program. And I feel like the downtown co-working space gets better as like spring comes because you can walk around like that. That's enticing to me, just being down there. I was down there for an event on this downtown on Tuesday. Felt nice. It was like 60 degrees. You know what I mean?
Yep.
HopewoodJD.com. Get your will done in a day. I think she's still got the promo code Cyclones or Fanatic. We're trying both. I'm sure she's going to correct me. I'm sorry. I hope that was really bad advertising, but she's fantastic. She's a great Cyclone.
The great thing is,
she'll get your will done in the day. She'll probably give you the $50 off. Anyway.
Right. If you talk to Hope, just say, "Hey, I heard you on Cyclone."
Heard you on Cyclone Fanatic. I want to thank our friends at the Iowa State University Foundation. Go to MoveWhatMatters.com. We have Forever True Day coming up in a little over a month from now. Get your plans ready. I like to map mine out. It's like filling out my bracket of March Madness.
I'm going to put in there now. Science Bound.
Oh, yeah.
That goes through the foundation that we learned about last night.
Talk to them about doing our sports writer scholarship.
Oh,
had a meeting with those guys earlier in the week.
Let's go.
Yeah. All right. I'm being a pessimist though. Do I think there can be games where Iowa State doesn't turn it over coming forward? Yes. Do I think that they're going to fix it? I don't. I think it's too late. I think it is who they are. The other thing though that I want to say, and this is where I get so frustrated and I just have to put away my phone after games, is you can point out that this team hasn't been healthy all year without, it is a fact.
Yeah.
Like it is a fact that they have not had all of their guys. Okay. So like, don't at me about that. Like that is a fact. Now, what do you do about it? And if you get them all back, like all I'm saying is I think it's gonna be tough. And this is where a long run in Kansas City could help. It's got to get that rhythm with all these dudes.
Yeah.
That's where I'm starting to worry, Brent, because it's just like, God, like if you would have won that game last night, you feel differently. Would that have changed anything? No, it wouldn't have. It's still another game without them playing together. But like when I look at their resume, when they've all played together, they're one of the top 5 teams in the country, no doubt.
Well, it's the 6th best odds to make the final.
Yeah,
four
you still.
Like, still.
And this is not like Vegas is not biased towards the Cyclones like we are.
So to that end, Iowa State now 140th in the country in turnover percentage. That is dropping
Like a rock.
drastic.
Actually, it was 141.
141. Thank you. That's not good.
Not that I obsessed over that number before
That is
this show.
that not going to do it. And so you hope that's more of a lack of cohesion from having all these mix and match parts and not. And I think it is. Like, I think there is a direct correlation with all these guys kind of not being together.
They're
and
in
not
a different
practicing.
role.
And they're not practicing either, by the way. But fix it. Regardless,
What do you think their turnover in Big 12 play? Where do you think they rank? But don't look it up. In Big 12 play.
Like out of the 16 teams?
Yeah.
9.
12.
Oof.
Oof.
And then 3-point defense is 13th, which is
That's
weird.
an anti-TJ
It's a weird combo. So there are things that are absolutely concerning. And then quite honestly, Chris, if you give that type of, I don't like saying effort. Efforts can be a broad
I
thing.
hate that term.
But that,
I also hate it when people say that like the way the team played was like embarrassing to them personally.
yeah,
that bothers me.
I mean, everyone's invested in
I
you
get
are,
it,
yeah.
but like they aren't trying to lose.
Definitely not. I thought Iowa State got lulled into a
They absolutely
passive
did.
game plan.
But they were still trying.
Yeah. And then they fixed it.
This is finally burned this into my brain.
There's
To not question effort unless it's like super. I don't think those guys I really don't. I don't think that they showed up and were like, I'm going to give half effort.
No,
like I
no.
do not believe that for a second.
It's a reminder for everybody. You are still dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds who understood going in there that Oklahoma State has been struggling and then Iowa State should beat them.
Yeah, and there's 5,000 people there, and there's no
So it's all
energy
there.
in the arena, and they didn't have it within them to build it with, and that's a problem. And what do you do to prevent that? I
That
don't
is
know.
why, though, I think Iowa State can reel these 3 off, and then you feel okay because Arizona on Saturday. I mean there's a couple motivating factors here, and if you're not up for that game or whatever, sharp from the get go, then then
If you can't get up for that game after what happened in Tucson
and
then-
on Tuesday,
then
and getting Keyshawn back,
like that. If you can't get up for this one, then I don't know what.
so that's what I say. They're going to be. I think their efforts going to. Again, I don't like the word, but the intentionality is going to be really good Saturday. Arizona's good.
Intentionality, I like that.
Arizona's really good.
They are really good.
So you're going to have to bring it.
And they're going to be prepared for this after what happened.
So so 2 things are true. Iowa State has had a couple wheels fall off here. That is discouraging, but that also the hard work for Iowa State that it did in the first 2/3 of the season can still be who this group is in March. And I think that was hopefully the wake up call that was needed.
Man, I sure hope so.
I don't want to do it if it wasn't.
That was also hash this out. This has been going around. Is the worst loss of TJ's era. I'm gonna have to go back. I feel like 2 years ago they lost a game to Oklahoma State that was worse. At home, did that?
Yes.
I don't know. That Oklahoma State team, I'm looking at it right now. They were ranked top 50 at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Remember they lost to Oklahoma and Oklahoma State both at home, and we're like, oh my God, the world is
And
ending.
West Virginia.
They lost like 7 of 8.
But the problem,
And then that was right before they went and won that Baylor game.
yeah, but the issue on that end is that team really struggled at the end of the year, and then
Yeah.
it got bounced by
Yeah, and they lost.
average
They scored
Pittsburgh team.
41 points in
so
the
that's
NCAA tournament.
I get it.
Yeah.
But
That's what, like, I'm not necessarily predicting that here, but I don't have the feeling that's on this turnover thing. It's like, when is this going to flip? Like, we're running out of time here.
yeah, and that's what I don't understand. C-Dub is what is different turnover wise between this year's team and last year's team. And the only thing I really come up with
The bigs
handle it more than those did. I mean, when Hassan and Rob got it,
Yeah,
they
they
were
didn't
like,
touch the ball. Yeah.
throw it to somebody. So, man, that's part of it. Like, I'm glad Iowa State has those 2 players. Jefferson, in particular, can be a cheat code when he's on. Just got to clean him up. And TJ said as much in the postgame last night. You need him to be successful in March, but he needs to be mindful and can't can't have those stretches where he's as careless as he's been.
Pretty good stuff. I have nothing else to add to this conversation. The women got the win.
Yeah, look great.
Had to get that one.
Put up
Talked
some
about
points.
that on Sunday night. So
Hey.
massive game against Kansas State on Saturday. I purchased 4 tickets today.
I got
Emily Ryan, top 5 greatest Cyclone of all time. In my mind, she's number 1. She's my all-time
that's
favorite.
like picking my favorite child.
It's her and Jared Homan and Adam Carper.
Webster Patrick. Ivan Shiryev, the old timers.
Robert Faulkner.
Robert Faulkner.
We're in this text chain. The sickos will love this. We have this disgusting sicko Cyclone basketball text chain, and for some reason the other day, Robert Faulkner came to my mind, and I just kept hammering people with Robert Faulkner references. There's gonna be like 5 dudes watching this who think that that's hilarious.
Yeah, and then there's gonna be those youngers like, who?
Here you go. We're gonna break the ice. Everybody's upset from last night.
Just think about Rob Faulkner.
No, tweet at me just random.
Yes, your favorite random former basketball
Cyclone basketball players. That's what I want today.
Corey McIntosh.
He was once on the cover of Cyclone Nation magazine. I put him there.
No, we still haven't. You guys, this is hilarious. Okay.
It's-
What do we
it's
do
the-
as well as Iowa State fans when things aren't going great?
Yeah.
You can laugh about it, right?
Yeah.
So Chris and I are Cyclone Nation. This is 2006. The big recruiting class. And it's hilarious. The better get of the 3, the class was Corey McIntosh, Mike Taylor, and Wes Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay. And the Minnesota kid, Corey Johnson.
Corey Johnson
Corey
ended up at Drake, right?
No, he went to Valpo. I think he went.
Valpo.
I think he ended up at Valpo.
I thought he went to Drake.
I don't
for
think
a while.
everyone went to Drake.
Oh, okay.
Anywho, this is when Chris and I are sophomores, juniors. I don't remember at Iowa State.
Insanely, we were running a media publication at this point in our lives.
and a very mediocre one at that. So we had
If
this
you
cover.
call that mediocre, then great. I'll take it.
We had this cover, and it's a great cover. It's one of the favorite covers I've ever seen in my life. But it's Mike Taylor and Corey McIntosh, and the phrase is "men at work," as if it's, like Kobe and Shaq from the Lakers at the same era. One of my favorite covers, still in my basement today.
Yeah, I have it framed somewhere.
Look at there we go. Look at Aiden producing his stuff up. Dodie Dunson. who had a really-
Dodie Dunson. He went
had
to
a really
Illinois
nice.
State.
He had
right?
a really nice career there. Yeah, he really did.
Yeah, he,
and then
he was a good player.
there's the other 3. Good job.
That Wes
Man.
Johnson guy was the dud of the class.
I
right?
remember Corey McIntosh's coach at junior college told you he'd be a program changer.
Yeah, he told
Nice
me
young man, by the way, Corey.
the lead quote in that story is not only is Corey like a freak, he's chiseled. He's like 150 pounds when he showed up.
Are we past the point of implication? That's 18 years ago. Can I tell this story? I'm going to tell this story. All right, I'm going to tell it. You don't even know where I'm going, but I'm going
I
to
have no idea. Don't get us sued.
No, I won't. It's 18 years ago. So this at the time, I was traveling a little bit with women's basketball, and another coach relayed this to me from a conversation they had with another coach that was involved with the men's basketball program. Anyway, the quote was, "One of our guards hates the other guard because he's terrible and he's right. Our other guard hates the other guard because he's an a-hole and he's right too." So things have been worse.
What's the old Paul Rhodes quote?
It was a great quote.
He goes, "If you want,
They're
he
both
goes,
right.
What's Paul
Oh, yeah,
say?
yes.
If you got one dumbass, it's
No, one here
one asshole.
One asshole's fine, but you get a gaggle of them, and you got a
Asshole farm or-
yeah, asshole farm. Yeah, it's a great quote.
this great look at this picture I just found of Corey McIntosh or of Mike Taylor. Look at these shorts that they have.
My gosh, those things.
Look at that thing.
Those things were taller than me.
All right, we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
Women get a huge win.
Huge win,
Had to have it. Come back. Kansas State coming up on Sunday.
and we're all going to be there, right?
Yes. Well,
Everybody. I know.
I bought tickets for my parents and my daughters, so they will be there for sure. I am flying in from Phoenix because I'm at Murphy's Kids Fight. I'm a big promoter of this thing.
Yep.
I land at 2:30, so my goal was to be up there by halftime.
Awesome.
Listen to Noah and Jamie on the way up,
I'm
and then
locked
we're going to
in.
be there to celebrate the big win that will hopefully lock the women into the NCAA.
Huge
tournament.
game. Need to win it. Need it for Emily. Need it for all the above. Hope to see you all up there. Little special note. There's going to be some cool Emily Ryan stuff around there. I'm not going to give it all away, but
Really?
I think you'll enjoy it if you go. And special guest Saturday evening at Hilton Coliseum. I didn't say just one special guest.
Guests? Well, we know Tyrese is coming. Who else?
I'm not.
Niang coming back
I'm
for
not
it?
saying anything. Not saying anything.
You're not referencing Red Panda, are you?
No, not in this case. But that would be multiple.
She's
special
doing
guests.
the halftime.
Good
That's
grief.
why I'm not going to be there.
Like this is
Yeah.
basically the carnival on wheels.
I'm actually really, really depressed that I'm not going to be there. But I love Colin. So Murph's kid is in this fight. I've known him since he was in like kindergarten, and it's a big deal to him. And I'm trying to be a great friend, and I also like want to be with the Clones. And it's just, but I'm going to be with the Clones for I'm going to be with the Clones until national championship game. It's my plan.
It's gonna be an electric atmosphere Saturday night.
It's going to be incredible,
which is
it's
great.
a late night
And
tip.
honestly, like
They
for
need
this
it.
team is perfect. Get the vibes back. You know
Real
what we-
quick.
Aiden, as the kids say, the vibes are low right now a little bit. We need to get the vibes higher. Everybody.
So real quick, let's go to our Wiffles Hybrids Big 12 segment. Craig Smith got fired.
yeah,
Man, that didn't last long.
no, it did not. They, you know what's interesting there?
He was the coach at South Dakota when TJ was South Dakota State coach.
Well, go super,
And
this
then
is
he
where
was
I
at
going.
Utah State. And then
When Iowa State hired TJ, there was a poll on Cyclone Fanatic. I swear it's out there. Look it up. Who do you want to be the next head coach at Iowa State? So this would have been April or March of 21. Yeah. And the leaders in the clubhouse, I swear to you,
nothing will surprise me. I don't know where it's got to be Craig Smith, but
Craig Smith,
yeah.
guess who was second? I'm not making this up. Jerome Tang. And TJ was like,
Well, he was not a popular hire. He was not a popular hire.
it
It
is
was
like,
just Pollard hiring his friend.
yeah, I remember the
That was
blowback. The blowback. Speaking of, sometimes people take it out on us. We got a lot after that whole thing.
Yeah.
But no, so it's interesting because they're both in the conference now. Smith was thought of as a natural up and comer and hasn't quite worked out.
I just watched him too much in the Summit League.
You knew it.
Yeah,
Because you remember you're like, I don't know.
I never was
but I swear to
pounding
you,
the pavement for that guy.
it was Tang and Smith were the favorites from the fan.
The problem is the thing that I didn't like about him at Utah State, and again, I know that league pretty well. When TJ was out there, I went to a lot of those games. Utah State is a great job. So basically, what happens there is if you're not good enough to go to BYU, and not really anymore because NIL has changed this.
Yeah.
But back, if you weren't good enough to go to BYU, you just went to Utah State. You didn't really have to recruit at that job. It was a great job. You could go there and you automatically have 3 dudes every year who can play in that league. You don't really have to work that hard, and then you go and pluck a couple other JUCOs and you can win games. So I don't like hiring guys from there. And it's nothing against Craig personally.
Yeah.
But I watched his teams in the Summit League. I didn't think they were that, he had great talent.
I think
Generally couldn't beat the Jacks.
and they're a program just on the back end financially. They are supported at a super high end from their donors. So my guess is, don't know everything. They're really going to push now. So they will
Utah?
Utah. They will try and get a coach soon before the portal opens, and then go heavy with their collective.
Yeah.
Um,
Before the deadline.
Mhm. Yes, because again, this is why I don't want, this isn't an NIL thing, but this is the thought process
yeah.
now. This will not be the first Power 4 coach to get fired before March 1. Well, I guess we're running out of days here, but before the tournament.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these schools are want to get somebody in place. Portal opens March 27th.
Yeah.
And so these collectors, what they're going to do, because they basically have to unload their money before the portal's done.
Yes.
So they can then take their rev share starting July 1. So what schools are going to do, just for numbers for basketball, some schools will have, let's say, $4 million basketball budget from the school next year, but the collective might have $5 million just hanging out, ready to burn. And so your budget the next year is $9 million all of a sudden. Now it's only a 1-year thing, But Utah is one of those programs that has a monster collective that will, I'm gonna guess, to get the right coach, they're gonna go all in and really push it.
As we spent a lot of time talking on Sunday about how big of a deal that particular spot is in the hiring process.
Yeah, and they're one of those schools. If I look at a financial support in the Big 12, them and BYU have dollars. They do.
In Tech
has dollars. TCU is going to max out. Baylor's going to max out. Obviously, K-State's been willing to spend money.
Kansas will max
Kansas will probably spend money. Yeah, I mean, this is like, so there's this adage of, Iowa State's fighting in its own weight class to an extent.
Better than it was.
But yet some of these schools are really pushing the envelope. And I think, I'm not saying Iowa State's not. Iowa State is trying to do all of it can. But you will see some moves being made, just like you saw in college football over the next 2 weeks, to really ramp up the firing process for these coaches.
Interesting. Yeah, so Craig Smith gets fired at Utah. The only reason I pointed that out when I did is because they play Arizona tonight.
Yeah.
Now, we're recording this mid-afternoon Wednesday. A lot of this stuff is irrelevant. We're not going to touch on tonight's games. We'll just kind of look ahead to Saturday more than that. But Arizona, again, plays tonight. So you can see Iowa State's next opponent on Wednesday evening. I think that's an 8 o'clock tip. Saturday. So we're rooting for certain teams to lose. Texas Tech being one of them. They have to go to Kansas on Saturday, which is really interesting. So you're going to root for the Jayhawks, no doubt, in that one. I think at this point we're just rooting for Houston to win out for the Big 12's sake.
Yep.
Yeah, we want them to keep winning.
Yep.
I would root for Baylor over Oklahoma State. I want Baylor to get into the tournament.
Yes.
For the Big 12's sake.
Yes.
And then you have West Virginia at BYU. I guess we'll root for West Virginia there. And Iowa State, Arizona.
Interesting, real quick on Arizona State.
Kicked
off their leading scorer this week.
And I saw I saw him saying it's like the worst year of his career. Like he was saying, I'm paraphrasing. That's not his exact quote, but it was something like he's never been through the ringer like this before.
And that's the thing. Like these are the dog days right now. It's hard.
You mentioned that with the refs, and
it's hard. The guy, everyone's going through it,
dude. I haven't said that to. Said that to my wife today. It's such a long season,
and there's 2 more conference games.
Yeah, and we just sit here and talk about it, right? Like it's not even like we're not even in the hard spot. Fans.
I woke up tired today.
Fans are like, God, I got another game. College basketball is a gauntlet. You're right. It is a.
That's why I'm hopeful. March, like for fans too.
Yeah.
When you get that March date, it's like, oh.
Right. Da 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 da.
I'm telling, like, is there a better feeling, C-Dub? I honestly don't think there is.
Challenge me.
Of that first cold beer in Power and Light on a 60-ish day in Kansas City.
I don't ever get to do that.
Oh my gosh. It's one of life's simple pleasures, but it is amazing.
I mean, have you ever yeah, I could think of a few, like a dirt track, like when you get your camper unloaded at the Kansas Speedway and you're finally done, you crack open that first cold Busch Light.
PG-13 show, my friend.
Actually, I brought Ames Lager last year, not even promoting them. Remember that? I talked to my guy Ian before I went down there, and I said, "Hey, I'm going down to the races, and I need I asked him specifically. I said I need some like summery beers because all I have from the Westo is like the stouts and stuff, which are great, but I don't want those at a racetrack. Yeah. So that's when they brought me that what's the light IPA
the soaked
yes,
and the
that one.
Yep.
That one's great.
So yes, I do think just like fans, there is once you get in that tournament setting, there is like this revitalization of okay.
That's your Whipple's Hybrids Big 12 segment. That's all I've got for you.
Yeah. Hey,
I have nothing else to contribute to this today.
Do you know what I always tell my 6-year-old? The sun came up.
Indeed, it did. I always just keep it real and say, hey, it's not always easy being a Cyclone, but it's awesome.
We'll figure it out. We've been through worse, everybody.
What's Hef say?
It's always a great day to be a Cyclone. Some days are better than others.
Yeah.
What I would add for Eric, some nights are worse than others too.
My favorite heft line is, and have a very pleasant good evening.
Or, Eric, quoting another famous poet, World War II is a must-win.
Yeah. The must-win thing gets, because if you don't, or you're just going to quit playing the games. Is Saturday a must-win? I mean, sure as hell like to have it, but if they don't win it, they're not just going to tell BYU, hey, we're good. We're out.
Like Northwestern got a forfeit women's basketball today?
No, they didn't.
Oh, my gosh.
What happened?
They didn't go to L.A. over the fires.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently they didn't want to play the game anymore. So they just took the forfeit. So the Big Ten gave them forfeits for not traveling across the country. It's just in the middle of fires. What are we doing?
College athletics in 2025, man.
Let's go.
It's a hell of a deal.
It's a hell of a deal.
All right, he's Brent Blum. We didn't skip the game last night. We were trying to raise money.
And we did.
For young scientists who wouldn't have had the opportunity if it weren't for Marshalltown Science Bound, you jerks.
To go to Iowa State, by the way.
Yeah.
So this helps.
So where were we? It's a good cause. Matt Campbell was there. Are you shitting on him on Twitter?
Chris, you're ducking us again.
Great job by Leah and Connor on
Sorry.
postgame, despite what all those angry mobsters were yelling at you.
It's like when we had to do those in the prom. Like, I felt for those two.
I did every postgame show that year, no matter what. That's why I told these people, I'm going to be back, baby.
You can't get rid of us.
You think we're going to skip the pod tomorrow? Oh, hell no.
Stuck with us.
Iowa State could lose every game the rest of the year. We're still going to be here potting. Win or lose, because we love the Clones. All right?
Thanks, everybody.
Love you guys. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Aiden Wyatt producing. Well, we'll see you on Sunday night. Later.